man. I just had it. I'm live. I'm so delinquent. Start listening. Good evening.
What's up,
I realized like 45 seconds ago I'm supposed to be live and on Spaces. I got distracted by Telegram. Lots of things going on, you know.
Telegram can do that.
And crypto. Crypto can do that. Yeah. But no, I'm all good. Just getting my mic set up. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, guess.
Just finished eating. Now doing this.
There you go. Hey, guess what? I learned something yesterday.
What?
So, okay, on Spaces on Saturday, I'm pretty sure it was on Spaces on Saturday. We had like 45 people on YouTube, but then StreamYard's telling me we have about 200. And I'm like, okay, something's different here, you know? And when I did the AMA yesterday, GuGod told me that StreamYard gives you everybody on YouTube. They combine YouTube and Twitter. So we have a lot of viewers on Twitter, apparently. And I did not know that.
Yeah, you mean because is your YouTube stream also running on Twitter when you're doing this?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we'll have like 40 people on YouTube and 100, maybe 150 on Twitter on the Twitter video. And then I don't know if that includes the people that are actually on the space. Probably not.
Yeah, I would assume not, because they don't know that you're double dipping.
Yeah. So what a way to be guerrilla marketing, huh? I like it.
Yeah, definitely. So when people are on Twitter watching your stream, is there a place for them to chat, or do they need to go to your YouTube to do that?
I can check, but I'm pretty sure they got to go to my YouTube.
Nice.
I'll double check. See if I can spot myself live on Twitter.
Yeah, interesting day we had today. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been an interesting several days. Really. What struck you about today?
Just around when I was getting to work in the morning,
You're breaking out.
there was a pretty big sell-off on this morning. There was a pretty big sell-off on Hex, which then created a big sell-off on PulseChain and everything. And then also the whole entire market kind of sold off as well. And then later in the day, the PDI MakerDAO proposal didn't get approved by the hat. So then there was a flash crash on
PDI, right?
PDI as well.
Uh-huh.
So we had two events today that created some price negativity, but our chart still held up good because we had some good natural buy pressure going on. So
yeah,
even though everything around us was red, we held up pretty good.
I'd say.
Yeah, and your system's just raking in that PulseChain.
Yeah, it is, from all that volume.
Yeah, and on top of that, Banana, just the fact that the PulseChain is so cheap right now. So we'll have, like, for an example, the same amount of volume today that we had a month ago, but since PulseChain is pretty much almost half the price, we're filling up in the DAO like twice as fast.
That's true.
Yeah, I think there's currently over 1 billion Pulse in the DAO.
Really? A billion? a billion Pulse. I looked earlier today, and I think there were like 97 million, if I remember right. Though.
Yeah, I'm talking about like all the pending DAO proposals that take 7 days to come out.
Okay. That makes more sense. You got your head wrapped around all the tempo of those proposals and everything way more than I do. So I don't look at them. I see what you guys are doing, what we are doing as stakers, and I'm happy. So I don't even look at the proposals very much.
Yeah. But the important thing is there's over 1 billion Pulse coming in within the next 7 days to benefit the system.
Yeah, well, let's break that down to dollars. 1 billion Pulse is $45,000. Yeah. 45 grand. Who wouldn't like to have a $45 grand bag of pTGC or UFO or Pulse for that matter? That's some good cheese, man.
Well, yeah, especially when, it's not stopping. I mean, that's what's there now, but there's more coming in, and I mean, it's just buying up that cheap pTGC. It's just taking it off the market.
Let's do it, man. This is good. Yeah, let's buy that token. Burn it. Reduce supply.
Yeah, well, the thing is that, like, even taking away like what the dollar amount is worth, like the value of the Pulse is worth something, and it's very, very undervalued right now. So the value that we're using today, let's say it's like you said, 45K, but just that SAC rate, that's 100K of value that we're buying our chart up with or doing LPs with, etc.
Yes.
2 times SAC rate, that value is equivalent of $200,000.
Yep. We have 5 daily closes against Pulse. 5 green daily closes against Pulse in a row, back to back. And we're currently over 9 pulls per pTGC. Do you remember what I said on Saturday about the ratio? My forecast. Does anybody remember?
I don't. What was it?
Well, I says, well, at the rate we're going,
100 to 1.
No, I said, well, at the rate we're going, I'm getting my calculator out. Like, well, we should be 10 to 1 by like April. Now I'm just laughing at myself. Oh, because we're 9 to 1 now.
That's like that soundbite. There was a soundbite the other day that I came across where you're like, yeah, I think the machine is starting to go into first gear.
I remember that too.
It's like, well, yeah, you can think that if you want, but that's as long as it's down underneath the SAC grade, it's not even close to first gear.
Yeah, I get that now. I mean, we are at the bottom. I think we're below the bottom. With Pulse below SAC rate, we're 50% below the bottom. You can look at it that way. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw Nuclear Herbs just did a post, and it was a very good post on language regarding Ethereum in the Coinbase with the Third Circuit, the Coinbase legal information, and what they're saying about Ethereum and how this applies directly to PulseChain. He says, interesting language in the concurring opinion in the Coinbase Third Circuit opinion today. It's worth your time, especially the paragraph discussing Ethereum. And it talks about, listen to this language, guys. It's a short read, but listen to this, because PulseChain operates exactly the same way, whether it's a security or a commodity. And this is precedent saying it's absolutely a commodity. There's no way it's a security. It says other crypto assets lack promoters and so look more like currencies or commodities like Ether. A coin issued on the Ethereum blockchain, Ethereum goes a step beyond the Bitcoin blockchain by letting programmers create decentralized applications that run on its blockchain. To validate a transaction facilitated by one of these decentralized applications, a user must pay a gas fee in Ether coins. These coins are then paid to the person who lent his computing power to validate the change on the blockchain. Because Ether has a specific practical function in the private economy, it works like a commodity. But unlike a commodity, when used, it is not consumed. Instead, it is paid to someone else for services rendered, like a currency. Whether Ether works like a commodity or more like a currency, it certainly does not work like a security. That is because it is now fully decentralized and there is no third-party promoter. True investors may speculate in Ether, but they also speculate in gold, oil, pork bellies, and the US dollar. These characteristics explain why the Commodities Futures Trading Commission has staked a claim to regulate some crypto assets. Certain digital assets are commodities, including Bitcoin, Ether, Tether, USDT, and others. And this is legal precedent coming out of the Third Circuit.
Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about, how can PulseChain be a security when the legal precedent is already that Ethereum is not, and this is an exact duplicate?
Yeah. Checkmate.
By the way, it's a full moon tonight, guys. I don't know if you know that, so it's moon time.
Thanks a lot. Gonna rub my sleep now, knowing that it's a full moon. Did you see the video today by Crypty Girl? Pretty sure I dropped it in the chat.
Is that the one where she's going over all the information on the case and the attorneys? Yeah, we retweeted it 2 days ago from the main X.
Oh. Well, she summarized, she put it all in just like 1 3-4 minute video and summarized it pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, I love it when Crypty Girl makes videos. She goes right to the point.
Yeah. I think that's my first exposure to her, honestly. So I had a thought the other day. It's okay. So people are coming over, and we know that some of them are swapping their RH tickers into the Grays currencies. So what if everybody started doing that? What would be the outcome if, like, I don't know, a large percentage of everybody started aping out of their RH tickers into the Grays currencies? I mean, I don't see that as being positive, but I can't grasp the whole big picture of, what that would look like. Do you have any idea? I know it's not going to happen. It's a imaginary horrible,
It's the easiest way to look at it is it's kind of like, I always go back to this illustration because it works so well. Imagine PulseChain as the pool, or even all RH tickers as the pool, and pTGC/UFO as the bucket, right? When a portion of the pool flows into the bucket, you don't even notice the water level of the pool changing.
Yeah.
Even if you fill 10 buckets, you still don't realize the water has changed. But as our fluid becomes bigger and bigger, like let's say now we're a bathtub, or then we become a jacuzzi, I'm just kind of creating bigger volume amounts.
Yep.
The bigger we become, the more impact we will have. Comparatively, we're still very small. So you don't notice the impact when it flows down. The main impact I believe that happens to PulseChain is when value leaves the chain. So when people are legitimately switching out of PulseChain assets into other large assets going upwards. So going from something small like PulseChain compared to Ethereum or USDC bridged in, right? Because PulseChain isn't the biggest body of water. We're like calling it the pool. But, you know, Ethereum you could then compare to a lake, right? And the same exact scenario applies. So what if a portion of ETH's value flows down to PulseChain? Well, it's the same exact thing. That's like a lake filling up a pool. If you fill a pool with a lake, you don't notice the water changed in level. It didn't really affect the price. But now you just filled the whole entire pool as far as PulseChain goes. So the point of what I was getting is you would have to do a ton of X's for it to start to put the debt in the PulseChain or PulseX for that matter.
Okay.
But we're getting bigger. You know, that's no lie. Like we're getting bigger. Every single day pretty much.
We're at 9.2 pulse per pGDC right now. Man, we'll be 10-1 by the end of the week.
That's what's nice is starting. That's what's nice with starting, you know, a community from the ground floor up is, you know, we are all educating each other and growing with each other, and we're starting with such a small volume amount as a sub community with sustainability and longevity and a system that actually can withstand the test of time on blockchain, because that's one of the biggest hurdles is the demand side. It's really hard to figure out the demand side. That's like the hardest part of tokens or even any business in general, right? Like you have businesses outside of crypto. Like if you don't got demand, you don't got nothing. Demand is everything. So it's nice that we get to build this from such a low level up, because we are actually able to change our community's lives by moving in that upwards direction, by creating a bigger volume mass than we currently have today, a bigger liquidity pool, if you want to call it that. You know, right now, if we're the bucket, if we're the hot tub, or if we're the pool right now, but as we grow, the people that are within this ecosystem now get to grow with it.
Nice. And that is true. We've seen a lot of people coming in the last few weeks. It's been pretty exciting. Like lots of new faces, you know, new personalities.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you want. you want that gas token being used. It's no good if it's just sitting there like a gold. You know, you get. It's like when ETH was new. I mean, when these first large protocols came out, I mean, that's what the Ether's there for. You know, the more adoption, the more ETH that's being pushed into, or in this case, Pulse, that's being pushed into things that are doing well, the bigger the blockchain gets.
Well, Bitcoin didn't move much yesterday in crypto terms. Today, it's up a little bit. Just a fuzz. Yeah, like not even 0.5%. Does anybody know what prompted the 3 days of red recently? Or is it just crypto?
Well, Jamie Dimon said that Bitcoin's a big Ponzi scheme again, which is indicative of a big ass buy signal, by the way.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what he did last cycle, and the same day was buying the shit out of the dip.
Wow. Well, it dipped almost 10%.
And I can almost guarantee you that JP Morgan was buying that stuff up in like a European exchange somewhere. Out of some OTC stuff.
Ethereum dipped 13% in that same time frame.
But it is healthy. This is a very par for the course, normal, just needed, natural
Yeah.
thing that happens during the bull run.
Yeah.
It's what we want. Because we want a nice, long, protracted, normal cycle.
Yes.
Beautiful cycle.
Yes,
we want.
do. Yeah.
We don't want Bitcoin going to $300,000 in 2 days. That's not what we want.
Derek says a hex whale sold 173 million hex. That would explain some of it.
Yep.
Nice thing about that banana is when there's big volatile moments on the things we're connected to, we get to make revenue off of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. Speaking of revenue, how'd we do on volume today? Where are we at? Let me have a look here. pTGC volume. Ooh, $500,000 in the last 24 hours. That's really great. Now let's have a look at UFO. $252,000. That's great. I have to love that. Because, $500,000 in volume today, what's it going to be when Ethereum is $6,000 and PulseChain is, 5 times its SAC price, It's going to be more.
Projected out, I would say, as an educated guess, this is no guarantees of the future, but I would say that's easily turns out to be $5 million in volume. And that's just with a 1-to-1 with Banana's recent findings that as PulseChain went up a 2x, the volume actually kicked up like a 6x. And then we kicked up, I think, a 10x in volume in that time period. If that scales out any bit evenly, even if that scales out half, or for an example, what if it scales out only times 2? So as PulseChain does a 2x, we do a 4x, or as PulseChain does a 10x, not like price, but in volume, right? Or let's say PulseChain's price does a 10x, but that equals a 20x in volume. Well, then that would put our volume at 10 million, right? Which would be great for APY and buy and burns ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the volume thing, just real quick, so everyone knows what that daily volume, which this is a pretty mediocre day. I wouldn't say it's near our best day, but it's definitely not near our worst. We have $15,000 of value generated in UFO, and in pTGC, that is $24,000 of value generated. So
from 500,000?
Yeah.
It should be 25,000, no?
What I'm looking at is $24,794.
Okay.
But where Banana pulled that number from might be a tad bit different than where I'm pulling this number from. This is from looking to pTGC.com.
So what was the volume on UFO today?
On looking to pTGC.com, the volume was $252,000.
So pTGC, essentially rounding up, brought in $25,000 in revenue today. And UFO,
15,146.
Yeah, so that's just over a $40,000 day. It's basically a $40,000 day for the system. Good luck finding that in your next fart coin.
I simply can't.
I missed that. The cryptograph. If you said something, I missed what you said. Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with Mondo. Like, you just simply can't find these kind of numbers right now, even when charts are showing bloody.
Yeah.
Well, you can't find them. You can't find them anywhere. You can find volume on a token. You can find buys and sells, but you sure the hell aren't going to find $40,000 of outside revenue generated and coming back into the system. You're not going to find that.
I agree with you, Mondo. Even when I'm looking at Dex Screener right now, it's just it's already reaching an all-time high right now on its current chart.
Yeah, today we breached a 9 plus something to 1 ratio again with PulseChain. So it's hitting all-time highs.
9.25 now.
One thing to point out is another token that kind of operates off of a similar mechanic. I think this is worth bringing up is PulseX, right? That's where a lot of this model was built off of, is the design of PulseX. I think Richard Hart's pretty impressed with it, and I'm pretty impressed with it, that you use the DEX volume, which we're using a form of the DEX volume, just whatever volume gets routed through our specific pairs, but somewhat similar idea. But one thing I find very interesting about it is in our system, there's probably 5,000 decent sized wallets, and there's 10,000 holders, but 5,000 decent sized wallets. So you're sharing that revenue that's been generated with 5,000 people. And that's either with buy and burns of the price, right? So price appreciation, or you're sharing that value with LP ads with those 5,000 people, or APY. PulseX operates off of a very, very similar mechanic. I would have to look up what value was actually generated in the day for PulseX, but there's 212,000 people that hold PulseX. There's probably less, multiple wallets and blah, blah, blah. But that's what Dex Tools says is the quantity of holders. So if the amount of revenue that's being generated, let's say, is somewhat similar, but you have, what would that be? A huge amount less. I'm trying to do the math real quick. I believe 40 times less people holding it. Yeah. 40 times less people holding it. You're having a similar amount of revenue being generated, but the revenue that's being generated is being shared with a very, very small amount of people comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
So a small amount of people are benefiting from it.
Nah, that's not what he was saying. It's so not only is there less people that have to share in the pool, right? But like, for example, PulseX has a 0.29 fee per transaction, and then 0.21% of that fee goes to the buy and burn, and then like 0.75% or whatever it is goes to the LP providers. But here there's a 5% in and out fee. And how many holders did you say? 260,000 PulseX?
Dex Tools said 212,000.
Let me go take a look at that.
Okay. No, I get what you're saying. You have to excuse me. I got really, really bad service here in the work.
Oh yeah, no problem. I was just
before
saying that if the revenue that's being generated is somewhat similar, I would have to check what the revenue generated comparatively is. But let's even say it's double, right? But there's 40 times the amount of holders that have to share that revenue. Even if that revenue is in buy and burns, or if that revenue is in LP ads, or if it's in APY. You know, obviously PulseX has no current APY built into the system. It's just the buy and burns, which is also value going back to the holders, just in a different way. But you're having to share that amongst a lot more people. I don't know if that makes complete sense.
Technically, you're there. It's liquidity providers. So the pool is actually a little smaller than the number of wallets because it's the LP providers that are getting it.
Well, I was more kind of like talking about the holders get value off of the buy and burn, and they're having to share that value that's buying and burning the supply with each other.
True.
But yes, the LP providers are the one that are gaining the value for putting up the LP, which is obviously fair, you know, due to the fact that they're most likely getting permanent loss and whatnot as well.
Oh, wow. We just kicked up over $140 million market cap. New all-time.
Where was it before?
9. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mondo. Where was it during the week of Christmas? The market cap.
Oh, shoot. During the week of Christmas? Let me see. $112 million.
Wow. And we're still going up in market cap. That's still impressive.
Derek on YouTube wants to know the benefits of pairing pTGC and UFO.
Personally, I would tell someone to really look into that because I wouldn't do it. But obviously someone else could have a completely different opinion on it. But I will give my opinion on why I wouldn't do it personally. Why I wouldn't do it personally is, for one, you're going to get hit with impermanent loss. So you are going to receive the one of the two that least performs more of. You already are earning APY by just holding pTGC and staking it. If you wanted to stake it, really, you could single-sided stake it. But you're going to be earning APY for just holding, and you're going to be earning APY for just holding UFO as well. So I don't see the need to earn the LP providing APY when you have two assets that pay you APY just for holding them. And because you're not going to earn that APY if you're providing LP with them. The other part about that is when you enter that pair, you still pay the fee on the tokens that you are providing the LP with, the UFO and pTGC. So just on the entry and exit, you're going to get hit with the token fees, which makes it to where you would have to stay in that pair for a very, very long time to make back the tokens that you're losing on entering the pair if you're going into it for APY. So that's like 3 reasons why I personally would not do it. It would literally take one of those reasons probably for me.
I didn't do it, and I won't do it either. It's just not.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
just for clarity for everybody, because PTGC has that 5% fee, and the protocol was designed before UFO. If you bond UFO with PTGC in the UI, in the UFO UI, you pay the 5% transaction fee on entering the LP pool. You don't pay that fee with PDI or any of the other RH tickers within the UI. So if you're there to get the Pulse rewards, I mean, why not just go ahead and pair it with Pulse or Inc or Hex or whatever it is, PDI, and you don't take that 5% hit upon entry and exit of the LP pool.
Good thing you asked, Eric. I'm glad you asked, man.
That makes perfect sense. I was about to do an LP pool with UFO and pTGC, and I'm glad I held off on that because you two definitely clarified that very, very well. Because now I'm just single staking my pTGC, and the rewards are marvelous.
Yeah, and with UFO, you're earning APY just by holding them, and you're benefiting from those who are actually taking part in what I call a hive farm. So it is a hive farm. It's unique the way that the distribution of the Pulse is comparatively to something like just regular PulseX or Uniswap or something else. The reason why I call it a hive is because it doesn't matter what pool you enter, everyone is working together by putting their liquidity in, and whatever amount of Pulse is generated, it's shared all together like a big hive. And your percentage is basically just based off of your percentage of the shares you have in that hive. It's not each person is specifically doing a certain thing in terms of getting that Pulse yield. So I like the term a hive farm, because it's like you're all a bunch of little bees working together to get that Pulse chain.
Good analogy. I like that. Yeah, every now and then I check my transactions and I just get a little dip of PulseX and multi-call. I've been in this ecosystem for about a year, and I'm noticing all the rewards you get just by simply just holding most of the tokens. Pretty nice.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to point out on that, and this might just make it more confusing, Mando, but you also are still earning within our farm, since it's built on PulseX v2, you're also earning the standard LP provider rewards that you make just by LP providing as well. And those are based on the pool that you're specifically in. But the PLS farming rewards, it doesn't matter what LP pair that you're in. So you actually get to double dip both sections. You get to make the standard LP providing rewards built into the PulseX system, and you get to make the PLS rewards built into the UFO farming system. And if anyone does care to know, what we've seen is the PLS pair has known to give the highest APR out of the PulseX V2 reward system, due to that having the most volume naturally, because most people transact with Pulse. So the APR built in the PulseX is the highest in that specific LP pool.
Yep.
To date, obviously things can change.
And heat cool, yes, you pay the
No,
fee only with.
I don't know if I asked this question before, because I think there was another Telegram chat a while ago. But is there an oracle within this ecosystem?
There is no oracle, no.
Okay. All right. I
don't think that was asked. I don't think that was asked in our chat. So if you're still in that chat, you might want to delete it.
I'm deleting it. Yeah, there's a bunch of fake people on the Telegram that betray you guys a lot. So every time I get these questions asked, I go and reflect, and I'm like, hey, remember that time? And then all of a sudden, oh, good call. That's not you.
Yeah, I would. You can turn that off actually in your settings. There's a privacy setting where you can make it to where no one adds you to any other groups unless they're like already your friends, like a contact and stuff like that. And that's actually a pretty good security measure just for the protection of your privacy.
Gentleman on YouTube wants to know if we abandoned Burn, Liquid, and 808.
No, nothing's abandoned. They're still there, functioning, doing their thing, supporting the pTGC system.
Mm-hmm.
They're still doing what they're designed for, just adding more arbitrage opportunity for the bots on chain.
Right on.
So the liquidity burn and the tokens burn, where does that liquidity go?
When we burn the liquidity and we burn tokens, we send it to the dead address that ends in 369. So it's pretty much OX000 until the end, and then 369, which is just a dead address on the chain where you can pretty much send tokens or LP pools to never be recovered.
That's cool.
It's pretty much every chain has them. There's just, sometimes they end in just dead or, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Richard was about to launch the chain and he did a poll and he put out a few different dead addresses, and everybody voted on the 369.
That's pretty catchy. I guess that everyone can stay stuck in their head rent free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so whenever there's LP added, it's added into PulseX, and then the system generates the PLP token, which is the claim check to be able to remove that. And that PLP token is then immediately taken and sent to the 369, where you're literally throwing away the keys. And what that actually means is that all of that capital was just handed to the token holders of the ecosystem.
That's true.
Wow.
I see.
That's really cool. Yeah, every time I check my wallet on Ravi, and I don't know why, but every now and then I see the token increase on my amount, and I'm like, okay, cool. That's when I know that this ecosystem is working nicely.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be very interested to see how, especially with a successful Pulse chain, how that very, very large dead LP multiplies. Because even with a lot of projects that do have some dead LP, it's a fraction to really what their actual LP is. And usually as price goes up, people who are providing LP will naturally close those LP pools down when they hit numbers that they're looking to hit. Like anyone, you hold a token, and then let's say that token's up 10x. Well, maybe that might have been your number that you were looking to hit before you start taking profits and whatnot. LP providers also have this same mentality a lot of times, is they're providing LP to exit or enter into a project that they want more or less of, or also earn APY while they're holding it. Maybe time goes on and they no longer want impermanent loss. It round tripped and they hit the number that they no longer have in permanent loss, and they figure this is a good point to close this down. I earned some free APY and I'm right back to my original ratio. There's a ton of reasons why LP providers for a token close them down. But what naturally happens is as price goes up, obviously LP grows because the token price is rising and PLS or whatnot gets forced into the LP pool to increase the price of the token when they're buying it or people are selling it and whatnot. But with such a large amount of LP that can legitimately never be removed. It's in the dead address. As the system grows and as the PulseChain system grows, this LP is going to grow massive. And in my opinion, in a normal token, this would be something you would need to pay attention to, because then the project becomes hard to move due to so much LP. But what's interesting about this system is the LP isn't just used as an enter and an exit avenue for users. It's actual capital being put to work for the system that's constantly buying up the supply and sending it to the dead address. It's literally the source of the value generation system. So it's all being put to work. So the more value that's there is more value that's working for the system, which creates a more constant price increase. And as our liquidity grows, 100%, the system will be less volatile by human interaction. But what it will still be volatile with is the pairs that we're connected to. So as pairs we're connected to, as they shift in up and down, those will create big level movements in our pairings, because that won't be due to price moving up and down from people selling and buying. It will be just due to our connected pairings moving up and down, which we make money off of those situations. So what it would equal is, if big players come in or big players leave, it won't create as big of moves on our chart, right? They can enter and exit with large amounts with very, very little impact on the chart. But what will have big impact on the chart is constantly buying and burning the supply every single day forever, right? It just is one foot in front of the other, moving in the positive direction, along with, the market just shifting and doing its thing.
Yeah, I heard. I saw in the chat Duhawks. He said he called it the. How we have like the God whale in Hex. He called it the gray whale in grays, and I loved that. So the system has the gray whale, and it just is constantly buying up the system and burning these tokens out of the market forever, or buying up the system and adding LP and literally handing the keys to the 369, giving all that capital to holders forever. So Hex has the God whale, pTGC has the gray whale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think he was referring to that big whale that's been buying up pTGC, though, like an actual person.
I don't think so, because I was talking to him in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. But then there's two of them, right? Even
it's
better.
Like, hey, it's not yet. I mean, obviously there'll probably be a lot more of those, but the system has the Gray's whale. It has the gray whale, and it's awesome, man. It's another meme on top of a meme, right? That's what we want. We want memes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's as far as the buy and burn, that's a mechanically code-driven whale that will never sell and never will stop, which is really interesting. To where a lot of other systems, you're kind of hoping or dependent on hoping those whales do come, but you don't really have to hope here. You just know that it's going to take a bite out of the system every single day. Some days bigger than others, some days not too big at all. But it is taking that bite every day with every transaction forever of the existence of PulseChain. And it's going to be interesting to see what that really adds up to be when you really kind of think about it, like the fact that that's been being done since day one. Like within the code, it's buying and burning, buying and burning, buying and burning. Well, that's happening today. That's happening tomorrow. That's happening a year from now. It's never stopping. Just today, just for the conversation since we're on it, and I'll give both pTGC and UFO, but just today, pTGC has had $5,371 bought and burned. UFO, 1,646. That's not a crazy amount, but what's crazy about it is that's never going to hit the market again. And that's at these prices of PulseChain. In a standard situation, if a user buys $5,000 worth today, eventually one day that money does come out, usually. But this money will never come out. It's locked into the system forever, only to be accessible by all the current holders or future holders.
Derek on YouTube asked, do the price fixer bots create reflections for holders, or is it just buy and sell volume? And I would say that it's the buy.
Mando, you might know this. When the God Whale was doing maybe some of its largest buys, what were those numbers? And how often? Do you know that?
Are you asking me?
No, I was asking Mando.
Yeah, he would. He might know better than I.
I don't know if it was.
The numbers were massive. I honestly, it's been a while. I'd have to go back, but they were huge. They were huge enough to have Richard saying, "I love the God Whale," you know. So I'd have to go back into Twitter. I could probably find a couple. Just give me a second.
Maybe while you're doing that. Mando, Derek asked, do the price fixer bots create reflections for holders, or is it just excuse me, or is it just buy and sell volume?
Yeah, Derek, this is the whole value generation system of the machine. Is the majority of the buy and burns and reflections and the auto LP ads come from the fixer bots, because that's why our system isn't reliant really on the buys and sells. Obviously, the buys and sells amplify the system, and we encourage them and we want them. Just because we aren't relying on them doesn't mean that we're not thankful for them. So where there's two revenues or avenues that we actually earn from. One is the human interaction, which is humans buying and selling. You know, some humans buy for speculation, some are buying for the fact that they love the idea that the system isn't actually dependent on human interaction. And a large portion of the APY or the buy and burns come from these fixer bots fixing the price between different liquidity pools.
Yeah, so for today, 500,000 has come in volume. That's generated 25,000 in revenue just from the pTGC side. And the way that splits up is 10,000 of that goes directly to the treasury for the DAO. 10,000 of that went directly to holders, whether holders or stakers. And then you have 2,500 that went directly into an auto add to the liquidity pool, and another 2,500 that went directly into the buy and burn of the token.
10,000.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes. The answer is yes. It goes directly. It's one of the. It's directly to that. One of the distributions is directly to that.
Well, what I think he was asking, Mando, is do the R bots and humans both pay into that, or is it just the humans? And the answer is both humans and the arbitrage bots both pay into the system. It doesn't matter.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's what's beautiful about the system is with a normal token, the only value that gets generated is from a human coming in or a human going out. There's no other value generated. And when that human enters in, they kind of are holding a ticket. They're holding that token, eventually wanting something out in return. This is majority of everything out there, right? But what's unique about our system is when an R bot fixes a price, they're in and out ultimately within the same transaction or within two transactions right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they have already donated to the system and they're already out. So they aren't waiting there with the ticket saying, eventually I want something back out of the system. They already got what they wanted out within the system right then. For an example, if an Arbobot sees an opportunity and the opportunity takes a $10,000 move, for an example, well, they have to buy one LP pool with $10,000 and then they have to sell the other LP pool with $10,000. And then they're going to make something there. They aren't going to perform this transaction without something for them. Let's say it's 1%, right? They get to make 1%. Well, our system makes 10% because they have to pay the 5% in and the 5% out. So on that $10,000 transaction, the arbitrage bot made $100. That's a good deal. They literally just took a second, right? That's an awesome deal for that arbitrage bot. But our system made $1,000.
Yep.
So the revenue that we generated was $1,000 off of this arbitrage bot fixing two pairs. And now that arbitrage bot is out and has moved on. We owe nothing to that arbitrage bot in the future. It got what it wanted. We got what we wanted. And now we can use that $1,000 for the growth of the system, either buy or within the code, buy and burns, LP ads, APY for holders and stakers. And that's what makes us so different than everything out there, is it's actually generating value from an outside source and bringing it into the product, to where a standard protocol is only reliant on new users coming in and using their value to pay out the previous buyers. Ultimately a Ponzi.
How do the ARB bots pay for the transaction?
They have PLS sitting in their wallets, and then their code will tap into that PLS and perform the transaction. They also need the value to buy the tickers as well, right? Like, they have to have that revenue there to perform these transactions. I think even some of them on other chains will even tap into like those quick loans, like flash loans and stuff like that, to do this as well. So they'll take the quick flash loan, perform the massive transaction, and then pay back the flash loans within like the same blocks. And then when they do that, obviously the flash loan company gets their cut of the deal, etc. But it's all written within these things. They're pretty complex systems, and they generate a ton of money.
Wow.
Yeah, it's literally like, it's on the same scale as high frequency trading with like quantum computers in legacy. It happens just like that. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, they're on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you have a like good arbitrage system, can you think about really how profitable those things can be if you're making $100 here, $100 there, $100 there, $100 there? Just in those transactions only take a second to do, or a few seconds to do. It's just finding them and beating the other people to the punch. That's like the hardest part about it. It's a player versus player game. Your systems needs to be faster than the other system that you're competing against.
Zen, it was 10,000 Ethereum that Godwill came in with. It was about $2 million initially.
Wow.
At that time, or
correct. At that time, obviously ETH was lower. It was probably more in like the $250, $300 range, something like that.
I think he did it in one candle too. Probably a daily candle. I'm not sure. That's what one of the viewers is saying. He dropped it in one day.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really would be interested to find out, obviously like today, for an example, if even the system only operated at doing 5,000 a day. So if you take 2 million and divide it by 5,000, that was wrong. That'd be 400 days. But that's only if we're doing 5,000 a day. Like if the volume picks up on chain and or the DAO starts buying and burning as well, we can calculate this pretty quickly because it was actually a pretty easy number to work with. So if we can get the buy and burn to $10,000 a day, that would take our buy and burn, so our gray whale, if that's what you call it, only 200 days to perform that same system. Or if we can get it to $20,000 a day, well, then that would only take 100 days to get that same system, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you really think about that, that's pretty remarkable that we have a form of a whale like that written within our code that's going to buy it no matter what every single day.
Mm-hmm. What do you want to do? Some moon math, Zen?
Yeah.
We didn't get to do that on Saturday. We had a wonderful disruption on Saturday, actually. And I hesitate to call it a disruption. It was good, man. We had a great day on Saturday. I don't know if you guys, some of you guys maybe weren't here, but Shill Gates came into our spaces and we got to visit with him and get to know him a little bit better and have a good conversation. It was a blast. And by the way, guys, if you want to see the interview, it's on his Twitter, but I also uploaded it to my YouTube today. So you guys can watch it there if you want to. So you want to start in the moon math section and then go over to the reflections, Zen? That's kind of what we typically do.
Yeah, that's cool. Mando, I see you're hopped on. Did you hear my numbers about if we're having $20,000 days of buy and burns?
No. What is it?
Yeah, so it would, for us to have our whale, the debt address, or the buy and burn with it written within our code, to acquire $2 million of revenue bought and burned, or a form of a whale buying and never selling the tokens, kind of like the God whale, it would take 100 days.
At how much volume per day?
I would have to calculate that, but I was doing $20,000 a day of buy and burns. So I actually know this number. So if the DAO is not participating, it would be $2 million of daily volume. If the DAO is participating in the buy and burn, 1 second, that would only need
Be a lot less.
a lot less. Hold on. Probably 150 days tops if the DAO was participating in the buying.
No, it would. If it was 100 without, it would be less than 100 days. No.
Well, or sorry, if the DAO was participating, we would probably only need $700,000 a day of daily volume, and that would be roughly 100 days if the DAO was participating.
Wow,
that's mind blowing. A God will written in code. Only 100 days of buy and burn pressure at $700,000 a day of daily volume. Today we're at 500,000.
Yeah, that's just stupid. That's why I love pTGC, because there's so many little metrics that keep popping up and amazing comparisons from other like-kind things from the past that we've all enjoyed being a part of. And, it's just fun to just kind of mull over these numbers and speculate on these things. That is phenomenal, though. There's a question that came up, and perhaps maybe you could just answer it in here for David James. Do you know the R bots? And just to clarify, he's in this question, he's saying there are bots. In other words, the grays are bots.
There you go, Derek.
But there is no such thing. It's just all the market makers on the chain, period, that make money arbitraging, and there's many of them. Do you know if the R bots just steal liquidity from all the pools to pump itself? That's how it was framed.
So our bots don't necessarily steal liquidity from any pools to pump themselves. Our bots fix prices between multiple pools of the same asset. So if PTGC is cheap in, let's say, the PLS pool, but more expensive in the HEX pool, this could happen for multiple reasons. It could happen from someone specifically buying in the HEX pool and pushing the price of PTGC up in that specific pool if their auto routers turned off or whatnot, or they had HEX and they wanted to specifically go into that pool, many reasons. Or this could happen because HEX had a nice day. Let's say HEX had a fat buy on it and it's up 10% in the day. Well, now the PTGC within that LP pool is up 10% because they are tied in ratios. So if the HEX moves up 10%, the PTGC moves up 10%. Well, now there's a 10% price difference between the PTGC in the PLS pair compared to the PTGC in the HEX pair. So now that's an opportunity for a market maker to fix the price. And this is an opportunity not only for the market maker to make money, but this is also something that chains need. So this happens on all chains. This isn't just a pulse chain thing. Market makers are actually running around all chains and interacting with centralized exchanges as well.
Oh, really?
Because you don't want huge price differences between centralized exchanges. You know, this one's price is here, you know, the DEX is here, Gemini is here, Coinbase is here. It actually has market makers constantly running through this stuff, fixing the prices and making them even, with also a profit in it to make for themselves, because no one does stuff for free. So to answer the question is, in a system, this is kind of hard to say. When there's tons of volume, and Richard Hart talks about this all the time, when there's tons of volume, the holders of the token and the token itself actually isn't gaining any value. The only people that are really gaining the value are the LP providers, obviously the people selling because they're cashing out or whatnot, and then also market makers. Because when there is a price difference, they are going to make money on the system, right? That's what they're there is they are taking advantage of your price difference. And that value has to come from the pairs you're connected with. But what's unique about our system is the threshold is so high that when they want to make that 1% off our system, they have to feed us 10%. So our gain is bigger than their gain. But if we didn't have any gain, like a lot of tokens don't, a lot of tokens don't have a gain. The thing that does get to make the gain is the market maker, the DEX, or the centralized exchange. Most of the time, volume does not equal price appreciation for a token. With our system, it does, just in very small increments over time. I hope that helps. I don't know if I went off.
I'll just elaborate a little bit more for David on that. So first, I like to say that arbitraging on centralized exchanges and on DEXs are ordinary and necessary activity to keep price equilibrium across all of the pairs. You have to have arbing going on for price equilibrium to happen. So it is an ordinary and necessary activity on chains and exchanges. No, you're not stealing anything. They're just taking advantage of price imbalances within pools with one asset on one side that's cheaper in one pool than another, so they can buy it up cheaper and sell it for more money on another side. And what that activity is actually doing is rebalancing price to equilibrium again. The difference with PTGC is we put a fee in front of the market makers when they want to go inside and outside of our pools to make money rebalancing those pools. So the RBots are doing what they do regardless, period, across all pairs, on every chain, on every DEX, on every centralized exchange. But we charge them a fee to access the protocol, I shouldn't say we, the protocol charges a fee, because pTGC and UFO are fee on transaction tokens, to go in and out of the liquidity pool pairs for them to make the money to rebalance those pools. That 5% fee comes back to the protocols in revenue, and that revenue is 100% redistributed back to the holders in multiple different ways. What's up, Moon King? What's up, Ian? What's up, Trevor?
Ooh, yeah, Trevor.
We got the boys in the house right now.
Yeah.
It is a full moon, so the Moon King is out here lurking his ass off on the full moon. That's awesome.
What crypto pumps during a full moon? pTGC pumps during a full moon.
No, it's seriously, it is a beautiful full moon, man, out right now. It is beautiful. Huge.
Banana, do you want to start with the X-multiplier now? And then
yes,
we could go over to what the reflections could be at that rate.
Let's do it. Okay, we are on look into ptgc.com. Just a second, I'm gonna take a drink of water, guys. We're gonna look at what pTGC would do against Pulse, what it would be worth, the value of pTGC with an X factor, and Pulse doing a 100x. I always just use a standard 100x. What X factor would you like to use, Zen? I'll let you pick that one.
For pTGC?
Yes.
Let's do a 5x over PulseChain.
Okay. So that means pTGC performs at a 5x above PulseChain. PulseChain in this simulation does a 100x. We'll calculate, and I think you and I have done this enough times. We know what the answer is going to be.
Let's do a less x on PulseChain.
Okay.
Let's do something really modest.
Okay.
Let's do a 20x on PulseChain.
Okay. I think I know what you're up to. Okay, we're calculating.
So what Banana is calculating right now, just for anyone listening, is if PulseChain does a 20x and we do a 5x against PulseChain. In the past, just for a little bit of base level knowledge, when PulseChain did a 4 to 5x last January, pTGC did a 10x against it in that same amount of time. So a 5x on a 20x is actually a pretty modest number, I believe. Go ahead, Banana.
Okay. Well, something changed, and it must be the ratio, because, you know, if we did a 10 or a 20x before, we didn't get I don't recall getting a multi-cent pTGC, but now 20x pulse with a modest, and I'll throw that in there too, a modest X factor of 5 gives us a 4.3 cent pTGC. Is that because we have moved up against it? Yeah, it has to be, because we moved up against PulseChain in the last several weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what that is ultimately for anyone who's holding pTGC, that would be 100x. Because you received a 20x on PulseChain, and then pTGC did a 5x against that. So you're able to multiply the two together, equaling a 100x.
So a 100x on PulseChain would probably equal I lost my numbers here. What would that be? Like a 20 cent pTGC?
That would be a 500x for pTGC holders.
Right, which is which is how many cents? 21 cents. All right, let's look at it in UFO. Let's do X factor of 5, and we'll do the let's do the 20x like we did with pTGC. So this is UFO moving up against PulseChain at a factor of 5. PulseChain does a 20x. It gives us a 100x on UFO, or 0.4 of a penny.
We do have the cryptographer up here. Do you want to, by chance, give us a number for what you believe PulseChain would do or could do for fun?
Let's see. PulseChain. Man, the numbers and speculatory things I can think of is, if I say PulseChain, like market cap or volume?
Neither. How many X's do you think PulseChain can do from the level it is today?
Oh my goodness, please.
Not
looking at the
super
chart.
bully, not like the craziest numbers you hope it does, more like, hey, respectively, this is what I think it can do.
Or you could
This
just do
full
price.
cycle-
Or you could just do price, like what you think it'll top out on
Okay.
in X or in price.
In X, I think it could do a 300X.
All right.
Okay.
Put
I
300
simply
X.
think I can see, I can see it do a 300X. But my thing is, the way I look at pTGC, I feel like it's already going to supersede that before PulseChain. That's the thing that contradicts me. It's like, man, would I say PulseChain would do a 300X, or pTGC is shy away of doing a 300X? Because the numbers don't lie.
To do, and this is no guarantee.
You're breaking up a little bit, Zan.
Proven. Okay, can you hear me better?
Yep.
Much better.
Okay, so what this experiment really shows people is, in the past, or actually we're at all-time highs right now, so forever in existence, we've actually outperformed PulseChain the whole entire time. So we've done X's against PulseChain. So when PulseChain even has gone up, we've done X's over that, and then that's called the X-multiplier. So we're able to multiply our X's by the X's PulseChain does. So the more X's PulseChain does, the more X's we do. So it's this team just winning together. That's what's beautiful about how these liquidity pools work. So if you think PulseChain for this experiment is going to do has the capability of doing a 300X, let's keep our X multiplier at 5X still.
Okay. So
All
with
right.
an X multiplier of 5, Pulse does a 300X. That naturally gives us a 1500X UFO, or a 6 cent UFO. Do you want to look at pTGC?
Yeah, let's throw it in pTGC real quick, just since he's giving us this Pulse number now.
Okay, a 5X, a 5 X factor, 300X on Pulse gives us a, hold on a second, that's 64 cent pTGC.
And just for the conversation, since we're just tapping that 9-to-1 ratio today, the crypto graph, August 26th is when we hit 1-to-1 with PulseChain. So we've done a 9X against PulseChain since August. And what we're predicting in this experiment is a 5X when PulseChain does a 300X, where PulseChain has actually done nothing yet. But we believe it will, right? That's the point of this X multiplier, is we believe PulseChain is actually going to be really, really successful. We're getting X's over it in the meantime, making it so we can multiply these X's by what PulseChain does if the system keeps operating in the fashion it's been going for the last 15 months.
Yeah, because this by I've just been looking at the chart since it launched in the very beginning, and the amount of consolidating that it's been in the market for PulseChain, it's a sleeping giant, you know, and it's going to continue to be a sleeping giant until it just makes its wave.
Yeah, it's going to be a sleeping giant until it's not, right? Because when it finally breaks out of this zone that it's in and gives the people the confirmation that it's not a sinking ship that they're looking for, that's when value will be moving over to PulseChain. And ultimately, we're ahead of that curve if that prediction is correct.
I mean, I tell this to people that I believe in PulseChain because I just tell them it's a fork of Ethereum. Like, you know, one day or someday we'll be around in it when PulseChain becomes a parity price of Ethereum one day. I mean, you know, lo and behold, we all see that one day and we all become very, very wealthy individuals. But until then, it's going to be a crazy, crazy journey. And the amount of FUD and the amount of people that just kind of just, you know, sit on this layer one. And I'm like, well, I mean, like, take for instance, you know, the CEO of Cardano was doing that, you know, just particularly in a few days ago. And what's funny is he put PulseChain on the horizon now for newcomers now. So as much as he was shitting on our layer one, that's a man with a coin with no smart contract. And this place is loaded with them, benefiting everybody with real DeFi. So people have no idea, you know, this is the early bird. And once it goes, oh my God, man, once it does its thing, it's going to be parabolic. I mean, this is the only type of crypto that benefits anybody who wants to have passive income, stay long term, you know, to each his own. The possibilities are endless with this layer one.
Yeah, one thing I love about it is the four biggest, I wouldn't say the biggest, but four of the biggest, like, smart contracts on Ethereum are the DEX or the store of values, which let's say maybe wrapped Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin is on a different blockchain. And then you got Ethereum itself. And then, you know, you have incentive tokens similar to Cake, but four huge products that are huge products on Ethereum or even products outside of Ethereum. Obviously, two of those are all under the same roof. And all of the smart contracts, all of the tokens got forked over. And when they got forked over, they actually scooped up a lot of those tickers and then put them in their own liquidity pools to obviously revalue them due to the fact that PulseChain has a greater supply. It's very, very interesting, I think, for people to underestimate what the power of that could be. Because we've yet to see it, right? Like, I only have imaginary ideas in my head of, like, what RH could really pull off with all of the eggs in, or actually, better wordage, all of the levers where he can reach them. When Hex launched on Ethereum, the only lever he had was the Hex smart contract and the ETH that he was able to get for the Hex to then possibly, rumored, maybe help with the price, who knows. But more importantly, he only had the Hex smart contract to play with. And that's one lever. When he forked Ethereum and PulseChain is his, Hex on PulseChain is his, the incentive token is his to incentivize people to provide LP, the DEX is his. Technically, any smart contract that is a forked over smart contract, MakerDAO, you know, the PDI tokens that were forked over that he possibly bought for cheap or forked into his own wallet, he now has control of all these levers. How many levers is it really? Who knows?
Wow.
Could be 50 different levers. But if he was able to have Hex on Ethereum to do a 10,000x with just one lever,
Right.
you'd be a fool to think that he can't do some crazy stuff here on PulseChain with 50.
And that's what makes me mad bullish, man. He's got access to so many levers to like kickstart this ecosystem, and they're all reflective. That the ripple effect's going to be immense. And I mean, I don't know what the level of euphoric is, but I mean, I can't fathom that because I've never lived that, especially when you're in an early bird layer one. That's why it's hard to bring in other people because these people want to follow other things that just don't make sense. And I'm like, you know what? Each his own, man. I got a whole community over here on the same pathway.
You know, what's funny is right now where the price of PLS is to the previous all-time high, it's 527%. So it's basically a 5x.
Wow.
So if you take just getting PulseChain to the previous all-time high and pTGC just does a 5x, it's a 25x from here, just like that. Just like that.
And didn't you post something saying that pTGC was like a 30x away from being a penny?
Yeah, it's actually less than that now. Yep, and at that point, every 100 million pTGC is worth $1 million.
See, you know, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. You know, the handful of people that got on board with me, I'm happy for them. And, you know, I told them just to jump into these chats and just told them just be insightful. Just broaden your horizons. This is a totally different layer one. And they just read the FUD first before they read the awesome insight. And I'm like, all right, to each his own, I guess.
pTGC is 23x away from a penny.
Good Lord. I say we're definitely going to hit that very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if we're 23x away, I need more pTGC.
Well, a lot of people don't realize like how easy that a 25x actually is when you are actually being assisted by the blockchain. Like Mando just said, a 5x to the all-time high. Well, if PulseChain does a 5x and we do a 5x, that's a 25x right there. Like really thinking about that, I know it's been hard for the last year and a half to get PulseChain to those old all-time highs. But when we actually did it, it only took a couple months from these levels.
Yeah, and when that tweet went out the other day, it was 40,000 for 100 million pTGC at a 30x away from a penny. Now it's just under 43,000 for 100 million pTGC, and we're what did you say, Prairie?
23x.
Now at 23x, and that was just like literally like 5 days ago.
So glad I pulled out my 401k and put it in a PulseChain.
Banana, we're hitting the hour and a half mark. Do you want to possibly run through some volume reflection?
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's look at both pTGC and UFO. Do you want to do the standard $25 million in volume a day, or do you want to kick it up or make it more modest? I'll leave it up to you.
Let's just keep it at the 25 mil.
Okay. We'll do pTGC first. We're going to use the demo wallet. This is lookintoptgc.com, guys. I just use the demo wallet because it never changes, and I'm familiar with it. We're going to change the volume to $25 million, and that's 24-hour volume. And what this does is it simulates how much yield this wallet with pTGC in it is going to earn if pTGC does $25 million in volume. And it only counts reflections. So what you're going to see is reflections. And that would be a 90% annual return of an additional 1.1 billion pTGC for this wallet. He's a shark. He has 1.2 billion pTGC. So he would be earning an additional 1.1 billion pTGC with $25 million in volume. Now let's look at some of the smaller positions, because this 1.2 billion pTGC is worth $462,000. And by the way, I said it's reflections only. So you multiply that times about 1.3 if he had pTGC staked. And that would be, let's see. So for reflections, his yearly yield would be $400,000. If he staked it, he'd be pulling about $1 million a year for his bag of pTGC. Now let's go look
and
at
that was for what size bag?
a 1.2 billion pTGC bag.
That's a shark?
Yes. Yep, a shark.
And what is a whale? What is a whale position?
Let's see. That would be whale is
3.3 billion.
well, one whale is 2.97. Oh, what by the not including the supply that has been burned. Okay.
Right. So the 3.3 is with the total circulating supply, the 333.
Yeah.
But you're removing the burnt, so it takes that down.
Correct.
And so what would that be generating in yield as a staker?
For a whale,
Correct.
one whale position, reflections only, is $991,000. Multiply that times about 1.3 if that pTGC is staked. So it'd be like $2.3 million for one whale position with staked pTGC at $25 million in volume.
Oh,
Yeah, man. Happy days.
You know what would be interesting about that time too, Banana,
Mm-hmm.
is the Dow would be bringing in $500,000 a day in revenue at that time.
You always got to mess us up like that, Zen. You always got to, like you always bring something that's just going to blow our minds, man.
It's just funny because Mando was saying that the God whale bought $2 million, I think he said, of Hex. Well, at that rate, if the Dow did that, that would just take 4 days.
See, there you go again.
Can you do this? Can you do this for me? Because let's just take it down to like a little bit more conservative numbers while we've got you here. So instead of doing 25 million in volume, let's take it down to 5 million a day in volume.
Okay, we can handle 5 million a day better than 25 million.
That's so conservative. That's just stupid conservative. So, but I want to hear that number. Give us that for a whale position,
Okay.
holder staked, and then a shark position, holder staked.
Okay, whale position at $5 million in volume a day for pTGC, reflections only, $200,000. If he stakes it, roughly $500,000. That's one whale position. A shark is going to be a tenth of that. Shark would be 20,000. Oh, hold on. I'm not looking at this right. I've got a couple different figures here. I think a shark is, shark's going to be 81,000 reflections only. Am I reading this right? There's nobody here to look over my shoulder and tell me I'm reading
Take your
it
time.
right.
It's fine. It's fine.
Because I've got, okay. We got, okay, I need to go down to theoretical yields. Yes, okay. Thanks for allowing me to take my time. A shark would gross $20,000 a year, reflections only. So it'd be about $50,000 if he staked it for a shark at $5 million in volume. Now, a shark position today is $113,000. Dolphin position, A dolphin position is $11,000 for the tokens to buy the tokens to be a dolphin. And the yearly reflections at $5 million in volume would be $2,000. Staked, it would be about $5,000. That's at a very modest $5 million in volume. We have already seen
That's crazy.
We've already seen $1 million in volume just back in December.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just crazy. So that's one whale position at 5 million is doing over $500,000 in yield a year. You never have to sell.
Yeah.
Whew.
Is that reflections or staking and holding?
That's staking and holding.
Yeah.
So, and I ran the numbers at that number, Mando. That would be the Dow bringing in $100,000 a day in revenue.
Still, wow.
So that's not even including that.
That's not even, that's just the Dow. So then you also need to consider the fact that it's also buying and burning itself, which would be $50,000 a day of auto buy and burn, not including the Dow, not including UFO. That's just the smart contract within pTGC. That's also $50,000 of LP ads automatically done within the code as well at that volume rate. And then also...
Yeah, so this is astronomical because the numbers then, the number we just ran, it's like, it's not even the right number. It's way more than that then.
Huh.
When you consider everything else.
Well, it's at $5 million a day at value or at volume, that's $250,000 of value generated by the system. Going to obviously the allocations accordingly. So a portion to APY, a portion to LP, a portion to buy and burn, and the portion to the Dow. But it adds up to $250,000 of value generated. And that's just pTGC. That's not including UFO.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like that, you know, UFO is a beast too. Like it'll, wow. Wow, these new numbers are crazy, man.
Well, let's have a look at UFO. Okay, and this is go ahead.
I would never leave pTGC or UFO if those numbers are like that.
That's the goal, right? In a normal system, after you do the X's, there is no reason to stay because your tokens aren't paying you anything. So naturally, in the real world, if you run across a lump sum of money, the first thing you should do with that lump sum of money is find a way for that money to work for you. So naturally, to create a sustainable system is you would want to include a system within that system that pays you APY for remaining within the system. Because if there's no APY built into the system, there isn't a lot of reasons to remain in the system.
Precisely. That's why I love PulseChain, because when you have all that in your bag, you can literally network it in, bonds, liquidity pools, staking, and pTGC. Otherwise, the list goes on. Why you can earn yield on all your winning.
And if you can create a system, like if we can get this as a community and as a blockchain and just as the code works, if all of those things together can get pTGC to these volume amounts or even higher volume amounts, if we can reach these amounts that we're kind of setting milestones for, it's like not end goals, but they're like goals as far as milestones go. Well, how strong does that make the system? Is if large amounts of the community, the ones that have held on for a long amount of time and have acquired decent sized bags, are now not even needing to sell their principal, and they can live solely off of the APY that the machine is printing them out of a forever decreasing supply. So you don't even need to worry about the APY being paid out hurting the chart's price in a way, because the APY that gets paid to the users has to be bought out of the existing liquidity pools. So every APY that you receive is actually justified by a purchase on the chart that same day.
Man.
or a sell on the chart that same day. But the truth is, if someone was selling it or an arbitrage bot was selling it, that value was never going to remain in the chart anyways. It was already on its way out. It just went to you first.
You know what's interesting, Zen? I was in the TG today, and there was a large hex whale that's in the system, one of the biggest. And there was a comment that was made because there was some frustration going on that basically it was like, damn it, you guys don't freaking sell.
Yeah.
These guys are wanting to get entries,
Yep.
but there's just not people willing to give up the tokens, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting because that's not a normal thing, man. You know?
Well, the tokens themselves have their own unique value because the tokens themselves are your portion of the APY. It's your portion of that burnt liquidity web. It's your portion, technically, of the whole entire machine.
Correct.
If you give up your portion of the supply, you give up your portion of the machine. And
Yep.
someone else might be waiting to take it off your hands. So you kind of have to think, as do I want to give up my portion of this machine? It's got this amount of liquidity. It pays me APY out of a fully deflationary token, out of a value generating system that comes from outside sources, not just inside sources. Like there's a long list, and you kind of have to ask yourself, like, why? Like, I understand, like, why sell a portion? Maybe you sell your APY to get your kids some sweet clothes for school, or buy your kid his car for when he's 16, or go on an awesome vacation with your family, or do all these awesome things with your family that I'm hoping this system sets so many people out financially free to do with your family. Like, that's the goal, right? Is to become financially free and then do all these awesome things with your kids and family and friends and loved ones. And if you never need to ever touch into your principal and you get to live these awesome experiences with your family for the rest of your life, that's the goal. And I always love the fishing hole analogy, because this is a real analogy that can take place when a community comes together and is benevolent and watches out for each other like family and friends. The fishing hole analogy is that you got a fishing hole, and a whole community, a whole tribe eats off of this one fishing hole.
Yeah.
And you got tons of fish in it, right? We throw our rods in it every day and we catch the fish, and we feed the whole entire community off of what we caught out of that fishing hole. And while we sleep, these fish are repopulating. They're reproducing. So we wake up the next day and there's the same amount of fish, even though we caught some the prior day. What normally happens in human nature is greed. Someone in that community comes in and takes too many fish. Well, now there's not enough fish to reproduce at that large enough rate to where the whole community can eat off of it and never tap into the principle. What's interesting about our system is there's actually things put in play to push the people that want too much of the fish out soon. So we're the buy and burn. It pays them out. They're like, oh, you want more now, right? You want more fish now. You're not willing to just eat a little bit off of the plate slowly like everyone else. Well, here is some. Now you're out and you can never access this fishing hole again. Now what? Now you're having to find your food. You don't get to tap into here anymore. You're now hunting or looking for a new fishing hole to tap into. The funny thing is, most of the time they never find it. They starve out there.
Yeah, and when it's so far, if you go to the pTGC's monthly chart, it's case in point, right? Like, it's literally a Wayne Gretzky hockey stick. So anyone who thought that they were going to kind of get a better deal, or, it's just not happening.
And that's not to say don't stop looking for another fishing hole. Like, you can still go out and tap into another fishing hole, but you don't need to dry this one up in the process, right? Like, if you find two, that's even better, right? Like, look at pTGC and UFO, 2 fishing holes in one ecosystem. Like, there is other amazing projects.
I do think, like, devil's advocate, like, play the devil's advocate. Like, the thing that we have seen is we have seen people do that. We've seen people go in there and just, I'm just going to take a whole shitload of it out now, right? Well, that's just crypto in general. You can't stop that crap from happening, right? But
I literally made a post about it today.
Yeah, but I just want to say this, and then you can comment on it. This system just buys them out. It just keeps buying them out. Now, let me just say this, and then you can comment on it. When Richard's blockchain turns around and there's a revaluation of the core suite of tokens, RH's tickers, 5, 10x from here, and the liquidity that's currently there, cumulatively like 30, 40 million, is, 300-400 million. It's game over after that.
Oh yeah, then.
So what does it look like then, right? Like,
instead of everyone eating 1 fish a night, we're allowed to eat 10 fish a night.
Well, the point is that those individuals that are extracting like that, fine, go ahead. Prior to that event, you're going to have such a larger revaluation of your token price and such a larger revaluation of the liquidity web that you could have sold off way less tokens for way more money and affected the chart way less. Right?
Yeah, 100%. That's the equivalent of, let's say, a 10x revaluation. That's a $5,000 sell today is comparatively to a $50,000 sell then. Or a $50,000 sell today is comparatively to a $500,000 sell then.
Wow.
And that's only a 10x, right? Like, that's pretty modest if you think PulseChain is only doing a 10x. Like, this is even a crazier example is a 100x. If someone believes PulseChain is going to do a 100x, well, that's a $50,000 sell today is equivalent to a $5 million sell then. I think a lot of people do believe PulseChain could do a 100x. Is kind of why I'm saying that example.
Well, it's a fact that it can do a 100x. Will it? We don't know. It's a fact that it can do a 100x. It can actually do a 100x pretty damn easily, to be honest with you. Yeah. And we've seen that with cryptographics' information, and we know how liquidity pools work. All it takes, man, is a shift in the wind in favor. Some of these hurdles get out of the way, and a favorable environment turns around in Richard's favor, and that's it.
$100%. And liquidity manipulation and value being brought in goes a long way too.
When you look at the market cap of the grays, somebody was asking me about this the other day, but I'll ask you for the audience. We have quite a few in here. And if anybody has questions or comments and you want to come up and ask a question, please do that. Raise your hand and ask your questions. We're not in here just to talk to ourselves. So if you guys want to understand how this protocol works on PulseChain, please raise your hand. But on Dex Screener, they have the market cap at 128.7 million. And on Dex Tools, they have the market cap at, about 140 million? So the difference is that Dex Screener removes 145 million on Dex Tools and on Dex Screener it was 128 million. And the difference is that on Dex Screener they remove the burnt supply, so it removes it takes the cap down from 333 billion down to like removing 39 billion for the burnt supply, correct?
I think so.
Are you asking me? Yeah, Dex
Yeah.
Screener removes the dead address.
So my question for you is, because the question comes up ever so often. They're both correct from a different vantage point, but which one do you? Obviously, it is indicative. The 128 is a less market cap, which means a better entry price, right? And those tokens are technically burned out of the market. But how do you look at the difference between valuing it that way versus valuing it the other way?
Personally, I include the dead address because it's actually been bought and then burned. So it's no different than a human buying it and then just losing his keys and them just being stuck in that wallet to never be retrieved again. Since it's bought and burnt, it's actual economic energy that's been pushed into the LP pools for other users to tap into, to where a lot of other dead addresses are used, or this dead address is even used. A lot of other tokens use the dead address to mint a supply and then then immediately or later on send those tokens to the dead address. But the tokens were never bought. They were just minted and then sent to the dead address, making them to where they could have just never existed in the first place. And they should have never been even included in the circulating supply. But with ours, they were once circulating, but they've been bought and then burnt. Again, the same as someone buying these, holding a big bag, and then just losing the keys and losing the ability to extract that value back forever.
Yeah, because every single one of those tokens in the dead address, PulseChain had to be pushed into that LP to take those out in order to send them there. So that makes perfect sense.
But yes, they are out of circulation. So it really just depends on what you like looking at market cap for. Like Richard Hart talks about this. This is a known thing that market cap is a lot of times nothing, right? You can mint 100 tokens and put only one token in circulation and give that token $1 million value. Well, does that make your protocol $100 million protocol? No, because the 99 other tokens mean nothing. They're absolutely nothing. But it looks good on paper, right? Like then you're like, wow, look at this $100 million crypto. But really, there's nothing there, right? This is done all the time. It's a way to get attention, and rank higher. But all of our burn address has been bought and burnt via our smart contracts or the DAO.
Perfect. Yeah, that was a great answer. Yeah, thank you for that. Do we have anybody that's raising their hand or wants to ask questions or anything, guys? Anybody wants to come up and speak for a second? Or nothing?
No one's raising their hand right now.
Okay.
Let's do a UFO moon math on reflections. And this will be like the final moon math scenario. Do you want to just do the standard 25 million and then go down to 5 million again, like we did with pTGC Zen?
Yeah, let's do the same thing.
Yeah, do the same numbers. Okay.
We're going to simulate $25 million in 24-hour volume for UFO. That would be a 234% annual return. A shark position, and this guy has a shark position. He has 1.1 billion UFO. That shark position would garner him $105,000 in annual yield. And let's go down and have a look at a dolphin position, because a shark position is worth right now $37,000. A dolphin position is $3,600. Dolphin position at $25 million in volume would earn $8.4 thousand in a year. $8,000 in a year. And there are no, staking rewards with UFO. So this is simply reflections. Now let's go do and look at a modest $5 million in volume. Same sharp position. Well, it would be a 47% annual return. And this shark that has 1.1 billion UFO in his wallet would earn $21,000. Now, mind you, we've already seen I think it was $2 million plus in volume in one 24-hour period already. We've seen it with UFO. And a dolphin position, which is, again, about $4,000, it would earn $1,700 in a year at $5 million in volume.
Did you do the whale position for both those, Banana?
I didn't. Let's go back and redo that. That's real easy. Okay, so let's go to $25 million. Whale position. Whale, which is worth $367,000 right now. Annual return would be $840,000. How about that? Double your money in a year at $25 million in volume. And so again, $25 million in volume, $840,000 a year in yield. Now at $5 million, that whale position would earn $168,000. Yeah, that $367,000 bag would earn $168,000 at $5 million in volume.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out, just for anyone listening, so like in the standard traditional markets, when they talk about APY, that's usually coming from price appreciation. What we're talking about here isn't price appreciation. It's actual additional tokens landing in your wallet and what those additional tokens would be worth, which is very, very important to pay attention to, because you can also get additional rewards due to the X's. The X's is where most of the rewards or the gains are actually made. This is actual additional tokens landing in your wallet.
Yes.
And I'm just saying that because I can see there's quite a few of people listening in here, and maybe a lot of them don't understand the protocol as much as some of the people who do understand the protocol and have been studying it, that these tokens are reflection tokens. So you're earning more of the token as you hold it. You are technically mining a portion of the circulating supply with every transaction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just surreal.
Go ahead.
It's just surreal, these numbers.
Yeah, the people that have been here from the beginning, or 3 months in, 5 months in, 6 months in, they're earning these tokens, right? So they're getting this yield, whatever the volume is. But those tokens are doing 30x, 40x, 50x, 100x, 200x after they receive them.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the APY on the tokens. You're receiving the tokens at a certain APY rate based on the volume and volatility of the protocol. But then you have to factor in, okay, I received $5,000 of yield or $300 of yield this month, and it just did a 30x.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%, Mando. And that's why I think it's important to pay attention that when you're mining, the key word is it's coming out of the existing circulating supply. What you're mining isn't actually coming out of inflation or, a set supply that's yet to come out. The only place this APY can actually get bought from and sent to is from either someone else's wallet to your wallet, or out of the existing liquidity pool into your wallet. So what does that create? It creates a scenario where there isn't a lot of sell pressure due to inflation coming out in the future, which helps with price appreciation, because scarcity and demand helps price. And if we can help price, that helps your APY do X's, and that helps your initial do X's. And let's be honest, that's why most people are here, is to do the X's, right? So we want to have protocol systems put in place to obviously make that more obtainable or easier to obtain, is doing X's. Because like we always talk about, like APY is awesome, right? Like let's say we're earning a 20% APY. But you know what's also nice is doing a 5x on top of that, a 10x on top of that, a 20x on top of that. That's about it.
Do you think we're winding down?
Did you still have any more UFO numbers, Barry, or was that it?
We are done with the moon math calculators.
Okay. Well, if there's nobody else that has any comments or questions or wants to come up and give their testimony or, ask something about it, maybe we'll shut it down, Zen.
I think D-Roots is playing this video.
I was thinking the same thing. I heard he was going into a space.
He is.
These guys have been the most informative individuals I've ever been in crypto. Thanks a lot, man.
Why would he be doing a space late at night? Let's go. Let's see. Okay. Come on, baby.
If you know, you know. That was awesome. That was the Moon King exit underneath of a full moon while pTGC is mooning.
What a riled ride it's been.
9.7 pulse per pTGC right now.
Are you serious?
I am not joking. I'm looking at it.
Wow. Yeah, people are starting to realize what's happening with this thing, man. It's just that simple.
Oh, just love
$150 million market cap.
it. Huh.
149.3. New all-time high. 9.74 to 1 ratio against PulseChain.
Ooh.
And on Dex Tools, it's telling me, I don't know if this is right, but this is what it does when I press the calculator against Pulse. It's telling me 2.4 million% gain, which is crazy. That cannot be right.
From the beginning?
Yes. 2.4 million%.
Yeah, I'm on. Okay, hold up. I am on Dex Screener, and I am
real quick,
seeing the
guys,
same thing.
Chris was raising his hand, and
Awesome.
I just wanted
That's what
to
we
give
want.
him the opportunity to talk before we shut it down.
Yep, that's what we want. What's up, Chris?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, I just want to say congratulations on pTGC, probably the best community I ever got into. Just saying.
Thank you for that compliment, man. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
Been home with y'all for a while. All I gotta say is keep up the good work. You guys are doing something that hasn't been seen in the crypto space before. So many people are fading this because people are leading people away from PulseChain. But I believe that when everybody decides to come back and actually sees where PTG is in 2 to 3 months, they're going to realize they faded something at one time they could have a lot of, but now they're buying the top.
3 months ain't going to be a top. But I give
Well, no, absolutely not. No, it's the top that keeps on topping.
Yes. I think in general, the whole space right now doesn't really, I think that the winds are going to turn favorable for PulseChain. I just don't see why not.
I mean, everything that you all got going and Teddy Bear and all that stuff, I mean, people are looking in the wrong places. But when, PulseChain and pTGC and all that start taking off, it's not going to stop. I just wanted to come up here and congratulate you guys and just, hey, keep doing what you're doing. PTG, keep topping. We the ones of the PulseChain.
So I appreciate you coming up. Sorry, I wasn't listening because my son was screaming about this bubble gun that he has. So I was trying to help him out.
Hey, bubble gum is important sometimes.
Oh, he's so obsessed with it. It's probably not good, but he loves it. He's like just walking around the house. We had to let him. We used to only let him outside the house with the bubbles, but he never wanted to come inside anymore. So at nighttime now we have to let him in with it. It's like obsessed with the thing.
But the one question I think I did want to ask is for UFO is that the reflections are just like the pTGC, like it just randomly just accumulates.
Yeah, so both with pTGC and UFO, correct. You both, just for holding, you earn reflections. With pTGC, you can take it a step further and also stake, and then you earn pretty much 130% more rewards than you would have than just holding. So your APY more than doubles, pretty much. But yes, either one, you can hold and just earn APY. 2 different protocols in a unique way. With UFO, the whole entire community is providing the liquidity, and those people farming within the UFO farms are the ones actually buying and burning the UFO supply and paying you the APY for just holding. And then with pTGC, all the liquidity is actually majority burnt or held by the protocol or locked in a smart contract, which is paying you your APY or buying and burning the supply, etc. So both of them operate very, very the same, but where the liquidity is very, very different. UFO is community pushed or held via the farms, pTGC protocol owned and burnt.
Yeah, that's pretty much just what I wanted to know, because I kind of got in there when you were explaining it, and I was just like, well, I better ask just to be safe, because, a question never asked is an answer never given.
Oh, dude, you have no idea how much I appreciate you coming up, because if you have the question, most likely someone else has the question, and that's why we're holding these spaces, is for anyone to have the opportunity to come up and ask the questions they may have, because if I can educate you, now you can educate someone else. And
hey, listen, educate me as much as you need to. I'm all for it. Hey.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. If not, it is getting to that time we normally shut these down. I haven't seen you before, Chris. Just so you know, we do these on Monday nights, 5:30 Pacific Standard, and then Saturday mornings, 7 a.m. Prairie himself does 2 live streams on YouTube every week, and I'll let Prairie remind you of the times because I forget. And then in the Gray's Currency Telegram, I do 2 VCs a week, and one of them is Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard, and then the other one is on Thursdays, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard. So if you have any more questions in the future, just come to any of those locations and ask them.
Yeah, I usually always come to the spaces calls y'all do. I just don't want to come up and aggravate y'all and take time from what y'all need to do. And I catch every one of them. So, I mean, I'm all for the Gray's Currency, man. Ever since B Roots pounded it into my head, and Ian, I was like, I'm all for pTGC and UFO.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here. And thanks for supporting by just listening. And if you ever feel like you have a question, dude, feel free to come up. You're not bothering anyone.
If I have a question, I'll usually reach out or ask. I appreciate you guys and keep doing such an amazing job. You've created something so unique and magical. It's going to blow minds one day. Keep doing what y'all are doing. Let's go get it.
Hey, Chris, man, you sound like a good man. Appreciate you coming up and sharing with us, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, I do what I can, Mando. It's actually a pleasure to hear you seeing you from the Moon King and Ian streams all the time.
Yeah, those are my boys, man. So.
Yeah, here, I'll let a mystery real quick just because now right at the end, people want to come up. And
it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, people want to come up. Let's let them come up. What's up, mystery?
Greetings, Earthlings.
Greetings.
Hey, guys. I posted something below, and not, obviously we want to keep people on PulseChain, and so it's, the guy who wrote, what was it, The Art of Wars, and no, not Ziz. What's his name? Anyways,
Sun Tzu.
Yeah, exactly. Know your if he who knows his competition.
Did we lose him?
It seems like we lost him.
Yeah.
I want to hear anybody that's about to quote Sun Tzu, though.
Did we lose him?
I can't hear him anymore.
Mystery, drop down and come back up, man. I think he was going to try to start talking about knowing our competition.
Yeah. Okay. Mystery, are you there?
I just wrote out to him, told him to drop down, come back in. Let's just give him 1 second.
Okay.
Anybody else?
What he was referring to was, I believe, in our comments. It just says, "Look at this. This is message option. Can we do this?"
What comments, Zen?
In the comments of this Spaces, I believe he was referring to. He said at the bottom or something like that. But I'm not completely sure what exactly it is. It's something on Soul.
I love these guys, just so you know.
On Solana.
I'm laughing at
Choose how much Soul to gift and generate and a unique invite code for anyone.
I'm just having a blast.
Download Jupiter Mobile and claim the soul. Start using the best blockchain in the world immediately. So what I think he's bringing up is possibly some sort of tool for the adoption of PulseChain. This looks like something that's built on Solana, and he was, I think, just putting it out there of like, hey, this is stuff that's coming out on Solana. Obviously, Solana being somewhat of PulseChain's competition, right? And it says White Rocks can only be claimed with an invite code, which only sender has. Sender can cancel anytime. Automatic and customizable. I would have to look a lot more into it, but I believe that's what he was trying to talk about. I'm just guessing though.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got that. We've got that for reference. If it's something great, if not, whatever.
Justin Knapp asks a question. He's been around a while.
Sure.
Can you explain how the value that goes to the burn address is still available in the system? Not sure how it's burned, but still has an impact as liquidity. Thanks.
Yeah. Because in order to burn the pTGC or the UFO, it has to first be purchased out of PulseX with PulseChain. So then those tokens are purchased with the PulseChain. Those pTGC or UFO tokens are then sent to the 369 burn wallet, leaving the PulseChain in the pool that was pushed into the pool to remove the other side of the tokens. So not only does it pump the price, not only does it make your tokens more scarce against the underlying liquidity that's in the liquidity web, but then the remaining PulseChain is left in the pool in the form of liquidity that was used to buy up the tokens, and then those tokens are sent to the burn address forever, taking those tokens off the market.
I hope you followed that, Justin. I followed some of that.
Yeah, great explanation, Mando. Hopefully
It's very simple. Yep. So anytime there's burnt tokens in this ecosystem, they had to first be purchased with Pulse, sent to the debt address, and the Pulse remains in the liquidity pool for users.
And working. Because now
and working for you. Yep.
Yeah.
I think if we stay up for another half hour, 45 minutes, we're going to see 10-1. We're at 9.8 right now.
Well, it's an amazing thing, man, especially on PulseChain. And there's a lot of people that are, they're connecting with us now from a couple of other chains, and they're seeing what's happening. And, when you have such an unfavorable environment and the chain's kind of just doing what it's doing, Bitcoin came down, ETH came down, kind of even PDI kind of sold off today, but pTGC is it's starting to gain that momentum. We're 16 months in. When you look at the 16-month monthly chart, it's almost, guys, look at the monthly chart for 16 straight months. It looks like a hockey stick, literally a Gretzky hockey stick against PulseChain. We're about to hit a 10-1 ratio against PulseChain.
Wow.
It's astronomical, guys. It's astronomical. Like here's the thing. Blockchains don't lie. The ledger doesn't lie. The charts don't lie. The liquidity pools don't lie. People can lie to you all damn day long in this business, but the things that you can look look into ptgc.com, those are on-chain, verifiable, open source metrics.
I'm just giddy. Sorry. I'm not laughing at anybody. I'm just giddy. Justin Knapp says, in reference to his previous question and your answer, does that have a big impact on the ratios of the pools it just left?
Zen, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I don't know if I fully understand his question. Mando, you can correct me if you think it's something different. But when you buy and burn PTGC for an example, is you're coming in with PLS and you are pulling out the PTGC, which you are then, how V2 liquidity pairs work is the dollar value is actually equal on both sides. So when you're pushing PulseChain in and you're pulling PTGC out, that makes the PTGC worth more in that ratio because the dollar amounts need to stay even. But now there's more PulseChain on one side and less PTGC on the other side. So the only way you can keep the prices even is by making the PTGC worth more. Obviously, the PulseChain isn't becoming worth less by this, coming into this LP pool with this because of how small we are. This goes back to a previous part of this whole space with how LP pools work and how we're smaller than PulseChain. So the PulseChain's the dog, we're the tail. That's another conversation. But the point is, it's increasing the price of PTGC and making the ratio greater on the PTGC side. So right now, 8 PLS is worth, or I guess the ratio less. 8 PLS is worth 9. Did you say it's up to 9 now?
It's almost 10.
Okay, almost 10. 10 PLS is worth 1 PTGC. So the ratio is changing when this happens. If you keep buying and burning and buying and burning and buying and burning and no one's selling, all that can happen is the ratio will just keep ticking and ticking and ticking further apart. It'll go 11 to 1 pulse, 12 to 1 pulse, 13 to 1 pulse to PTGC. But the ratio in dollar value will be even. And that's like the important thing that people need to realize about how liquidity, V2 liquidity pairs work, is you need an even dollar amount on each side.
Yeah, but that does not mean that the USD price per token is not going up.
Well, that equals it is going up. That's the only answer to that. Is that
Exactly.
means per token the price is going up to keep the ratios even, since the supply in the tokens is going down because people are pushing in PLS and taking out the tokens.
So a side note to this, as the revenue from the system is being generated from outside of the system, okay, and brought into the system, whether by human interaction or arbitrage market maker interaction, as this pulse that's buying up the tokens is coming into the system and then buying up the tokens, there is forever, perpetually more revenue coming in. There's revenue coming in that has to continue to fit in less and less and less token supply. So mathematically, what has to happen is that the ratios have to keep moving up in the PTGC tokens' favor to keep the ratios properly balanced in the pool at that 1-to-1. And that's why you see the price of PTGC on the monthly chart obliterating PulseChain, because it's a hyper deflationary token. And the system is only garnering more and more and more revenue in terms of PulseChain, that PulseChain's being pushed into the pool to continue to take out more tokens. And every day, every week, every month, there's less of that supply, which unless somebody comes in and pushes a massive amount of PTGC back into the pool, over the trend line, the things you can see what it's doing on the chart. And it will just continue to do that on the chart if what we're witnessing continues to happen. Now, what does happen is someone will come in and say, oh, yeah, I want to take, $500,000 out of the chart. And then that ratio will go back down from, like, right now it's almost 10 to 1. It'll go back down to like 8.25 to 1. And then everyone's like, oh, there's a buying opportunity there on PTGC. But then even on that downward pressure, the system is getting paid, right? So the one thing that's happening is you have a constant deflation of the token supply with a constant revenue generation that's being pushed into less and less tokens. Yes, people with tokens can push tokens back into the pool. But even in those situations, that causes a rebalancing of the liquidity web. The system gets paid, everything finds a new floor, the ratios find a new ratio, and then the system just keeps moving forward. And this is what the system's been doing since the day it was deployed.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Mando.
Yep. So, is there anything else? Any other questions out there? If not, we're gonna shut her down for the night.
If I don't shut it down soon, I'm gonna get kicked out the house. I'm gonna be bunking with Prairie. We could just do this whole thing from one spot, Banana.
Nah, trust me, you don't want to do that with your beautiful wife, man.
Yeah.
I'm just messing. But yeah, I'm good to shut it down. We've been going for 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Working all day, ready to spend some time with the wife and kid if we're all done.
I think we're
Okay,
done.
guys. Look, we appreciate you all being here. A lot of people in the space. Go to the TG. It's on the X account. Get in there. There's a bunch of amazing people willing to field any questions you have.
Hold on, Chad. I'll answer your question too.
Look into pTGC.com is the data and metrics page that you can go to, and you can look at all kinds of amazing data on the system, both UFO and pTGC. Follow us on Twitter and get in the know. Ask your questions. Get in the know. We appreciate everybody for coming on tonight.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Thanks.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
real quick, Mando, thank you for coming up and co-hosting with me. Banana, thank you so much for co-hosting with me as well. It means
my
a lot
pleasure.
that you guys are here helping me out, adding to the conversation. Cryptograph, thank you for coming up and adding to the conversation. I'm missing someone. Chris, thank you for coming up. I think that was your first time. I appreciate you coming up and conversating. And then everyone who's listening, even though you didn't come up, just thanks for supporting and educating yourself on the system. It really means the world to me that you guys are here. So thank you.
You guys have a good night. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one, y'all.
Best founder in crypto, right there. My opinion, of course. He's a friend of mine. I'm a little biased. Chad, what is the reward difference for stakes locked versus not? And what is the time frame you have to lock? Yes, sir. So in order to lock, you have to stake pTGC. It has to be staked first. And the reward difference is really going to be when you stake that pTGC versus just holding it. You're going to earn about 1.3 times more for staking, because some people don't stake, they just hold it. And 1% goes to holders, and 1% goes to holders and stakers. So if you stake it, you're going to earn about 1.3x more. But your question is, what is the reward difference for staking, for stakes locked versus not? And what is the time frame? So you stake your pTGC, and then you have the option to lock it. And you can lock it from anywhere to from 90 days up to 10 years. And there are locking tiers. 90-day lock earns you 55% of the rewards. The other 45% is sent to the dead address. The 1-year locks are you would keep 60%, not keep 60%. You earn 60% of all the early unlock penalties. The other 40% is sent to the dead address. Did I say? Let me back up. I'm tired. 90-day lock, you earn 55% of the early unlock fees. The other 45% dead address. Key thing is, okay, I'm giving you advice about how to lock up tokens, but I want to make sure if you're doing it right now, I want you to take some things into consideration. A, you should think about it for a few days, no rush. B, if you're going to, I wouldn't lock up a big old bag, because if you decided to end lock before the time is up, you're going to pay a 30% penalty. If you break up that bag into multiples, like maybe 5 or 10 different bags, then you pay 30% penalty of one of those if you were to early end lock. You follow that? Oh, and there's something else. Let's talk about the time. We talked about the time frames. Oh, if you wanted to stake, or not stake, lock for 10 years, what you can do is lock for 1 day beyond 9 years. So 9 times 365 plus 1, lock for that number of days, and that lock is going to be a 10-year lock. You're going to receive the rewards. And the only other thing really is if you leave your locks, like once they mature, first, you're earning reflections, staking rewards, and then any early end lock penalties. There's one other thing I want to say about locking. But also, you can leave that lock in place and you'll still continue to earn off of that. You'll earn early end lock penalties. There's a big difference between reflections and staking rewards and locking rewards. Your reflections and staking rewards are based upon the dollar value of pTGC today. So when that contract executes, it's going to send you pTGC to your wallet for reflections and staking rewards based upon the market value of the pTGC that it just bought. Locking rewards are different. Locking rewards are based on token quantity, not token value. So we hypothesize that in the future, like when pTGC does a 100x, say for example, and people early unlock, well, you could get tokens that are worth 100x versus your reflections and staking rewards that are based upon that day's value. If that makes sense, I hope that makes sense. It took me a while to figure that out. Thank you, Jimmy Rents in the chat. That convinced me to lock long. Are there any other questions? I'm glad you got that. Is Alien a reflection token? Yes, it reflects you pTGC, 808 burn and liquid. I think it reflects floor. 4. Yes, Alien is a reflection token. I hold it. Just got here. Smoke at the moment. Okay. Wow. Long spaces today. Long spaces on Saturday. Man, I wish I got paid by the hour. We almost did. 9.76 pulse per pTGC right now. Love it. Guys, have a great day. Jump in to the voice chat tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific if you want to talk to Zen. And then on Wednesday, I'll be having an AMA at 9 a.m. Pacific. More Alien? Not a bad idea. Yeah. I like the founder too. All right, guys. Have a great night. See you next time around.